I do remember thinking it was odd that someone like Lucia joined the occult club just because her friend Shizuru did. Now it makes a lot more sense. So what is this key? Don't tell me that thing is what destroys the world.
それができる力を持っている。
Damn. Then we can't just let it run around unchecked.
そうだ。確保するか。それができなければ暗殺も辞さない。
Put a fucking round in its heart. Using the word assassinate makes it sound much more dangerous. Should have done exterminate, eliminate, neutralize is the morally ambiguous one. But if there's an inhuman being with the power to destroy the world running around, that might be appropriate. It'd be nice if we could talk to it and explain ourselves, but if we can't, we may have to kill it. Just kill it. But that raises more questions. I get that it'd cause a huge panic if people found out about this. But what if the whole world's in danger? Wouldn't it be easier if you guys could do more public things like sealing off Kazamatsuri City and calling in the self-defense force to do a thorough search? No, because Gaia would really make havoc on a lot of people. An obvious question. If the world's in danger, why bother with secret societies? All of humanity would support a mission to save the Earth. Why keep it a secret?
鍵の存在は全世界、全宗教に極めて強い影響力を持つ。
True, it'd be considered a god. And if it can destroy the world, it's a walking doomsday device. There might be countries who try to use it to make threats.
理解が早くて助かる。
We captured this.
そういうことだ。鍵の存在は決して公にできない。その上、困ったことに鍵を積極的に保護し、地球を滅ぼすべきだと主張する連中がいる。
The hell? Is this some kind of cult?
現在、最も危険な勢力として我々が警戒しているのがガイアと呼ばれる組織だ。
Gaia.
鍵が地球再生を担うと信じている狂信的組織だ。彼らは鍵が人類を滅ぼしかねないことを理解していてなお、鍵を確保して地球を脅かすつもりでいる。
Yeah, I completely disagree with their ideas. But I still don't like Guardian trying to kill me. What the hell are they thinking? Do they not value their lives?
死の病に伏した地球を再生するには鍵の力を借りて地球を再生しなくてはならない。そのためには人類が滅ぶリスクさえも受け入れなければならない。それが奴らの主張だ。
I see, that is insane. Are those guys lurking in Kazamatsuri City too?
それどころか風祭市はガイアの勢力下にあると
wow,
さ
that's
え
why you
言
can't
って
lock it down.
我々にとってここは敵地も同然だ。
Damn. So the ultimate battle for the fate of the world has been ongoing in Kazamatsuri without any of us normal people knowing about it. I thought about saying this is like something from a B movie, but I changed my mind. It's an A movie. I said I wouldn't laugh at this. This is reality. Gaia, what a weird group. Revitalizing the Earth sounds like an admirable goal, but if they're willing to wipe out humanity for it, then they're no different from terrorists. We gotta focus on stuff like sorting trash correctly.
その通りだな。そしてもはやその程度のことでは救えないほど地球の病は進行しているというのが。
Well, the world probably will end eventually, but isn't that gonna happen billions of years from now? When the sun starts expanding enough to swallow up the Earth, I think it was. But we humans only live 100 or so years? Isn't that a bit too long term to worry about?
地球の病が進んでいることだけは事実だ。奴らの肩を持つわけではないが、地球は何億年も持たない。それも事実だ。
Well, I mean, the rock will still exist. Life might not. So Gaia and Guardian agreed that the world doesn't have much time left.
現在の水準がそのまま推移すれば、1000年で地球は死を迎える。
1,000 years. Compared to a billion years, that feels incredibly close. I want to see the 31st century. But that's still too far away for humans to worry about, no matter how long they live. People don't care about a future they'll never see. That's why they keep polluting the environment so much and pushing difficult issues onto their children and grandchildren. Hey, political topics. 1,000 years. Feels incredible. When was this written? How many years has that still gone on? 1,000 years. It feels incredibly far away, but still close enough. It's sure to happen at some point. Still, that's just too distant for me to imagine.
そうだ。私たちにと
Yeah,
っ
it's
ては
not really that far away,
1億
honestly.
年後も
1,000 years?
1000年後も等しく
We're in the year
自分には
fucking
関係ない未来だ。
It's only half. Like from like 0 to 2020 or 2000. It's only half that same time. It's crazy. It's barely any time.
だから無視できる。想像が至らない。
1,000 years. I wonder how the Earth will end.
想像できるのなら話してもいい。
Eh? We don't have any way of knowing what things will be like 1,000 years from now. She agreed with me on that point, but she says she can tell me what will happen. Well, I mean, there'll just be a collapse of like ecosystems and shit like that.
私は西九条さんに引き抜かれるまでは別のプロジェクトに所属していた。
Data. A project.
そこでは不可避な滅亡の未来を人類はどのようにして乗り越えていくかを研究していた。
Neat. Future humanity. She's used that phrase before.
1000年後の世界の完全なシミュレートが行われていた。そこで一切の生命を否定する過酷な環境に人類はいかにして対抗していくかを研究していたのだ。その技術を1000年の未来に託し、1000年を超えて人類をながらえさせようという遠大な計画だった。
It's also pretty hard to grasp, but I guess I'm glad people are looking into that. Were you one of the researchers?
違う。1000年後を託される役割だった。
Future humanity. That's what she defined herself as in the chapel. She said she wasn't human, that she was something ugly and filthy. Then she said she was a future human. Yeah, because they fucking experimented on her. She asked me to close my eyes and listen. Listening. Static from the TV. No, not that. It had sounded like waves. I would have been happy if it had. But once I realize what it is, I can't mishear it again. The sound of dry sand blowing violently. Yes, it's a sandstorm of poison and rust. Julius, do you copy? It's Julius, no problems. Gabriel, do you copy? It's Gabriel. Hearing difficulties, loud static, and headaches. Understood, correcting. How's that, any better? Much better, no problems. Lucia, you copy?
ルチア、問題なし。波の音が聞こえます。
Waves? You sure?
はい。いえ、訂正します。これは多分。
Alright, that's normal. Now we'll connect vision. Brenda, please begin.
了解。ユリウス、ガブリエル、ルチア。これからあなたたちの視野に赤、青、緑の3つの光点が現れ交わっていくわ。それが白い一つの光点になったら教えてちょうだい。
The emergency button was hastily added after the accident with Francesca last week. Wonderful. They're supposed to be monitoring us in every way possible, but Francesca perceived something no one had detected, and her brain boiled. Probably literally. Based on the data they did get before she died, they concluded the measurements were consistent with death from drowning in a sulfuric hot spring. She probably went too far off course and plunged into it. That's what everyone said. Human bodies send sensory data to the brain, and the brain makes the body react accordingly. So sending data directly to the brain is enough to produce bodily reactions. If data about horrible burns gets sent to the brain, the body will reproduce them. And that's what happened. When Francesca was supposed to say that there was no problem, she was silent for 2 seconds. That's all it took for her brain to fry. We'll be able to hit the emergency button after we suffer ourselves. If we can, we'll move on to more experimenting and training. If we can't, we'll die, and there won't be any more experiments or training. We never learned that death was terrifying. So we only mourned Francesca because she was boiled to death, and we were relieved that she only had to suffer it for 2 seconds. and we envy the fact that she never has to see the hellish future again. A red, green, and blue dot suddenly appear inside my eyelids. They are piercingly bright, hurting my eyes, but since they're inside my eyelids, I have no way of protecting myself from them. The 3 dots writhe around like pendulums, trying to merge together. Their movements make me feel like my eyes are being stirred with the toothpick. Ew, God, what the fuck? I don't need this vivid imagery. Holy God.
ルチア、どう？白い一つの交点になった？
今、重なりました。ですが、眩しくて目が痛いです。眼球に針が刺さったように
Good,
感
that's
じま
good.
す。
It's supposed to.
もうしばらく耐えて。それは疑似の通覚よ。
Okay.
あなたの眼球はとても安らかだわ。その通覚を認めてはダメ。本当
Okay.
にえぐられるわよ。
Perfect fake pain becomes real the moment your mind admits it. We can't admit this is painful. If we can't fight it, we won't be able to withstand these tests. If we don't withstand them, we won't have to take any more. Though there's only one thing that could mean.
了解。通覚を無視します。
I ignore the sensation of my eyes being gouged out. It's just a signal being sent to my brain, nothing that bad. I cut off the thought, linking it to my eyeballs. After our mental training, we can ignore any amount of pain. Ah, that's wonderful. And once again, I'm sent to hell, 1,000 years in the future. A virtual reality is forced into my brain. It is a kind of simulation, but after what happened to Francesca, we know it's more dangerous than that. The simulator uses some of the world's best supercomputers to force a virtual world into our brains. It's completely different from seeing a bunch of polygons on a TV screen. It can completely deceive our brains. Even calling it virtual is misleading in a way. As far as I'm concerned, it's a time machine.
OK よ、ルチア。
Well, might as well be.
You
You
could
can
have
fucking die. Now that I've been given permission, I slowly open my eyes.
いつもの世界です。問題ありません。
略さないで。あなたには
Desert.
どんな世界が見えている？
いつもの砂漠の世界が見えています。
A vast desert with sandstorms of poison and rust. The rusted sand is crystallized poison, which still hasn't been broken down even 1,000 years into the future. If I took even a single grain of it back to the real world and threw it into a pool, not even microbes would be able to live in it. The entire desert made up of those grains, covering the entire landmass. This is what the world's most advanced supercomputers spend decades calculating. What the world will be like in the future. This desert of poison and rust is the pus oozing out of the Earth's surface. Humans lived here, sucked out and dug up its resources, then left their filth. Eventually the world will become unable to heal its own wounds. It will rot faster than spew poison all across its surface. Every form of life it ever created will die. There isn't a single cloud in the sky. Now that the Earth has given up sustaining life, it won't provide the blessing of rain. I think it would still rain. The sun, which should pity us, is nothing more than a devil's eye, seeking out anything that still clings to life and frying it to a crisp. The atmosphere is that same devil's breath. My lungs begin prickling in no time. The pain and heat of sulfur are filling them.
ルチア、具合はどう？
I thought it was just simulation, it's not real.
肺が熱いです。大気を吸うと
That's just a mental image, don't let it be. You're built to resist that, only your mind is failing to accept it.
了解。
Oh my god.
通覚を無視。
If I don't get used to it, I'll meet the same end as Francesca. I just stand blankly in the searing desert, as if waiting for a family that will never come for
ル
me.
チア、OK です。すべて正常。オールクリア。Oh my god! 信じられない。
Keep your panties on. Okay, we'll now begin the test, but first, Lucia, congratulations.
何がでしょうか。ありがとうございます。
Everyone in the staff room is cheering right now. You alone have been chosen by the world of the future. Congrats! Apparently the revolutionary organic foundation they built into me far surpassed their expectations. Their compressed space technology allowed them to fit a foundation the size of a runway. It's what makes me a future human, capable of living in a world that permits no life. The key opening the doors of the afterlife, allowing only me to live in a world of death. That organic foundation was finally completed, after a tremendous number of sacrifices and several long painful days. I was just allowed to live in a world of poison. No, not quite. I've been reborn as a human living in a poisoned world.
おめでとうルチア。繰り返すわ。オールクリア。あなたは1000年の後に生きることを許された。
Yay.
選ばれた人類。
Humanity will be destroyed, but you will live. What about, after? And you'll be the one to raise children in the new world, pass on our culture, and rebuild society. God has chosen you as the eve of the next world.
あとはアダムね。Y 染色体の相性が悪いのかもしれない。XY 専用の生態基盤を再設計する必要があるわ。
Why would you make it dependent on chromosomes? The researchers began discussing it on the other side of the intercom. X and Y chromosomes, that is. But what I heard is already enough to tell me that I've lost one more of my few remaining friends. Julius was the last male test subject. His lungs were burnt away by the sulfur. Good job, Julius. He accepted the pain of the burning air. He wasn't able to go to the world of the future yet. After the last experiment, I was somewhat expecting that. He often talked about how early results did or did not indicate future performance, but I never understood it. After that, I saw several new boys and girls arrive and guided them to the future world. As long as I didn't have to go to that lonely world of poison and rust, I didn't care who did. I gave them as much advice as I could, so they wouldn't meet the same end as Francesca, Julius, Gabriel, and the others. But not a single one of them was able to accept the future. Their bodies, their cells accepted it, but their brains didn't. They were in awe of my special brain, but I didn't think I did anything special. All information's into my brain, including pain, including all mental images. They're just signals. I recognize and consciously select which ones to react to. They should know how to do that after going through the same mental training I did. But apparently I'm the only one who ever learned it. Eventually, that desert world made me feel nothing other than loneliness. No heat, no pain. In fact, I did feel my cells whisking around, trying to adapt to this land of death. And on the day of my final test, it felt as if I was sunbathing, in a world where all my new friends died after taking a single breath. Eventually I understood. I was cursed to live in this hell. The world will end eventually. This world with bright green foliage will eventually be repainted in poison, until I moved to St. Brosia, and that incident happened. My nightmares were always of that desert world, of me being left alone in that world without a single friend. I don't see that world in my dreams anymore, because now I have nightmares where everything I touch dies. Desert world, poison and rust. Tenoji's doing the best he can to imagine what I'm describing. He can't do it. That bleak, indescribably lonely world, it can't be imagined. Only someone who's actually been there can know what it's like. I only told him about the world 1,000 years in the future. I deliberately left out the fact that I was born for the sole purpose of being sent there. I don't want to talk about the Next Generation Humanity project, but Tenochi's still making an effort to at least try imagining that nightmarish world. Closing his eyes and thinking isn't enough to imagine it, but I understand that he's trying to keep me from feeling alone. Hug. He isn't going to leave me alone, not even 1,000 years from now. That really is a world to death. So 1,000 years from now, humans will exhaust the Earth's resources.
そうだ。人が生き方を改めない限り、それは1000年より早まるかもしれない。
We will hug until the end. If we do change, can we delay it?
私はそうと信じている。
So that's why you told us about sorting cans properly. Back when Yoshino and I were kicking a bunch of cans around, Lucia lectured us the importance of the environment. She meant everything she said literally. For someone who knows the world will end in 1,000 years, what she said is obvious. Everyone knows that the world's running out of resources. but they all think it will happen long after they're all dead, whereas she's seen the end herself. Lucy, I think you should tell more people about what you saw. That might encourage more humans to work towards saving the world.
それを私の使命かとも思ったが、その未来を語ることは
That sucks.
厳重に禁じられている。
But it's still the result of proper research, isn't it? It doesn't matter if the project was cancelled. It still seems like a waste of their efforts.
話したところで、誰もが天王寺のように真摯に耳を傾けるわけじゃ
You
ない。
guys had a bunch of fucking supercomputers.
1000年もの未来の話。
That's the main
気の遠
part.
い、どうでもいい話だ。
That's not true. Even if one guy happens to survive what happens, he'll hate all of humanity for causing that lonely desert to come into being. Well, no one alive will ever live 1,000 years from now. Fact. Maybe I said too many embarrassing things. But Lucia looks down and thinks about my words. I don't want whoever's left to regret the fact that we could have done something. Shouldn't we start doing something, no matter how small?
ほう、それは首相なことだ。具体的には何をする？
You? Sorting garbage, using recyclable bags in supermarkets and adjusting our refrigerator settings. And never resisting the urge to pee. Speaking of which, where's the toilet?
バカ！廊下を出て左だ。
Why are you blushing? I didn't mean to make a joke out of that, but I did need to go. I rushed to the toilet before Lucy can punish me. What, does she fucking want to see? I mean, calm down. When I head into the hallway, I see something flutter. What was that? To my left, it's the bathroom. I think that curtain separating the bath from the rest of the bathroom fluttered. Am I imagining things? If this was my own house, I'd wonder if a ghost was here, but this is Lucia's house. If a ghost really did show up, she'd mercilessly pound it into submission, so I have nothing to fear. When I try entering the room, this time I hear a faint noise. Definitely came from inside the room. It's fucking Shizuru, probably. Not a typical sound like water dripping. Come to think of it, when the key's around, she said it feels like there's a ghost, since you can't see something you should be able to. Could this actually be the key that Lucy and the Guardian are after? If so, I'd be a hero. I'll be protecting the world. I slowly open the bathroom door.
天王寺小太
I need to piss!
郎！なぜトイレに行くと言ってバ
What?
スルームを開く！
Isn't that the same thing? Wait, Lucy, it's not what you think. I saw something unmoving around in there. I thought it might have been the key.
えい！女子の浴室を覗き見ようとする変態ハレンチ！女の敵め！浴室ならば好都合。帰り血で壁を汚しても
What?
シャワーでさっと人洗いだ！
That really is convenient.
うん。
To avoid Lucia's fist, I open the door all the way and rush into the bathroom. But what is Shizuru doing in here? Why is the moral guard in here?
とても不思議だ。
しず
あの服、なかなか似合ってた。
Smug.
る！私のあんな姿を忘れろ！
As Lucia's fists bear down on me, Shizuru quickly interrupts by saying that. When she starts running around, keeping me between her and Lucia.
おのれしずる！神妙に一発殴られろ！
痛いから嫌だ。遠慮する。
I'm confused. Please explain. Actually, please stop trying to hit people around me.
邪魔だどけ！天王寺小太郎！
I'm not in the way. Shizuru's just running around me.
まあま
I'm
あ、
not moving.
そうとさかに来るな。バラすぞ。
Ouch. She grabs Shizuru by the collar, but the fist meant for Shizuru's face hits mine instead. Stars all around, static everywhere. The cosplay made dinner with Lucia resulted in me getting punched in the face because of Shizuru's unexpected appearance. This isn't right. Why? I should be having fun. Lucia threw me and Shizuru out after all that. I can at least have the right to know what she was doing in the bathroom.
まあ気分だ。
You sneak into people's bathrooms because you feel like it?
じゃああれだ。ルチアの護衛だ。小太郎が
What if she
ル
did
チア
something
に
to
手
me?
玉物しないか見張ってた。
You think that Iron Fist class rep needs guarding? Seriously?
確かに。
She continues making up reasons. She's not the type to simply tell me. Like, honest to God. I can't do anything Lucia doesn't want because she'll rip my fucking dick off before that happens. Well, I think I can guess. You helped her cook all that food, right?
どうしてわかった？
There's too much celery.
もう家庭的な食卓のつもりだったんだが。
Lucy's pretty good at cooking, right? Her bentos were impressive.
ルチアは味覚に難がある。
Ah, that's right. She has an extremely high tolerance for spice. I see, if she cooked normally, she might not make things I'd be able to eat, so she needed Chizuru's help.
買い物をしてきたのは私だが、作ったのはルチアだ。
So she made you do the boring jobs, and you didn't like being thrown out afterward. So you snuck back inside and watched what we were doing.
まさかあんな格好に着替えるとはびっくりだ。
It's alright.
小太郎はそういう趣味があるのか。
Not me. That was teacher's orders.
ああ、
The thought, though it was my fault, she ordered her to do it, that. Chizuru is shocked to hear that the teacher gave that order. Not good. I suppose it's to be a secret of those two guardians. I shouldn't say things that imply they know each other outside of school. Dude.
大体想像がついた。秘密を喋らない代わりに
True!
小太郎がエッチな条件を出したに違いない。
Dude, she literally she was watching the entire thing. She would have heard all about the guardian shit. Pretty much.
トウカは悪ふざけが好きだが、結構冷酷だ。
Yes. She's
小
a
太郎
bitch.
も約束を破って秘密を漏らしたりする
Yeah,
と
to a fucking
抵
grave.
抗したりしちゃうぞ。
Secrets? What are you talking about?
ガーディアン、
Don't say that, Chizuru. You're not supposed to say that. I was just playing dumb, but I wasn't expecting Chizuru to throw out that name so easily. So that means you're with them too.
何のことやら。
Exactly. Too late to play dumb. What kind of animal is that? And stop saying parts of the name of your secret organization. But now I finally know why Chizuru and Lucia were so close, despite being in different school years. They were both from Guardian.